This video is going to walk through the second practice problem from our Desmos activity. In this one, instead of being given an angle measure, we are given that we have an angle within a circle that has a radius of 4 inches, and that angle cuts off an arc that measures 20 inches. So we are given an arc length this time. And we're given that the arc length is 20 inches. And we're also given that we have a radius of 4 inches. Now, if we're thinking about, pieces of our circle, arc length is a part of the circumference. So if we want the total within one rotation, we need to find the circumference of our circle. So our circumference here would be equal to 2 pi times the radius. And so I can go over here to my calculator and type in 2 pi times 4. And so we have a circumference of about 25.13 inches. Now, question 1, just like with our last problem, is asking us to determine what percentage of the circumference is cut off by this angle. So we set up our fraction. We have our 20 inches of arc length out of that total circumference, the 2 pi times 4. And I'm going to just sort of retype this here. So I have 20 divided by 2 pi times 4. And then I want to turn that into a percent, so I'm going to multiply that by 100, and I get 79.6% of a circle that's cut off by this angle. So remember last time when we sort of sketched that angle, we thought about, 50%, so if we start our angle at the 3 o'clock position, 50% would be over here. And then 25 is at the top of the circle, so down here, this would be about 75%. And we're told that this particular angle cuts off 79% of the circle. So that's going to be more than 75%, obviously less than 100. And so we'll sort of go over here a little past that 75 mark. And so the angle we're talking about is this piece. So that 20 inches arc is this whole length around the edge. So it's a very big angle. It's more than 180 degrees if you're thinking in terms of degrees, which we're trying to not, but just in our heads. Okay. Next question, we want to convert this into our new units of measure. So we're going to measure this angle in Swifties, and we're going to measure this angle in Trekkies. Now, we already know that right here, this is sort of the fraction of the circle we have. And as we talked about last time, yes, I could set up a proportion, or I can think of this as just, I want 79.6% of my total one rotation, that 29 Swifties. And so if I'm trying to figure out the, amount of Swifties, so option 1 is just like we talked about, we can set up a proportion, where we're like, okay, X Swifties out of 29, and we could solve this, or we can think of it just as this is, our 79.6% of the circle. And I need that percentage of 29. So I'm going to just keep that same expression in my calculator, times it by 29, and I would get 23.1 Swifties. Same reasoning and thinking, we could do this with our Trekkies. So we could set up a proportion, and this would be out of the 189, right, to 189 Trekkies, the part to the whole. Or I can say I want 79% of that 189, and that would be 150.4 Trekkies. So hopefully this time solving the problem was maybe a little easier than the first practice. And if, there's some more additional practice with this in this module's CYU.